The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated. Welcome back to the Nova Society, the space where dialogue deepens understanding and civic responsibility comes to life. I'm Dr. Mark Bound, joined by our regular panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon. Together, we'll unpack the stories that matter most, exploring the headlines, the history, and the big ideas shaping today's conversations. Let's dive in and hear what the panel has for us today.
So today we have a question from Felicity, who writes to us from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And Felicity writes, the House has passed the SAVE Act. It is currently in the Senate and its fate remains uncertain. I've heard a bunch of interpretations of what this act will do and how it will impact voting. The right says it will protect voting integrity, whereas the left says it will restrict voting. Please help me sort this out. Which is it? Everyone wants our voting system to be secure, and depending on who we listen to, the verdict is very different. I did see a report that the Heritage Foundation, as Scott would say, not exactly a liberal group, looked into voting irregularities and found only 7 instances over the past 10 years. I am a registered voter. I vote in every election. Right now, I have no idea if my voter registration in Connecticut is still valid. I'm being told that if the SAVE Act passes, I'll need a birth certificate and an up-to-date passport to be allowed to vote. Is this right? Do I need to re-register? Help! So, Felicity from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Scott from Connecticut. Felicity needs help.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can
How
do,
close
Felicity.
is she to you, Scott? Bridgeport.
Bridgeport's not far. I go to concerts there from time to time, so it's not very
okay.
far away. It's on the coast, it's on the Sound. There's a Bridgeport U. I don't know if it's still open or not. And I was up there in their offices, which overlook the Sound's very beautiful view from up there. Yeah, I mean it's a interesting town. It's a big, it's a big city type of place. But they've got great. We were just there recently for a jazz concert, and they've got really good restaurants. And actually, there's a guy in Bridgeport. He used to work at Peter Luger's in Brooklyn, and he went out to Bridgeport and started his own version of Peter Luger's, which name escapes me. Bro, what's the name of that place? Joseph?
Oh, good.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Peter Luger's, but if you're a steak eating person, that's where you want to go.
Is that kind of like the Ruth Christie's?
No, this is the real thing. With Chris's kind of like a bootleg version.
Okay, got you. Gotcha.
Like back in the day at Peter Luger's, they didn't even have plates. They just would put the steak right down on a table in front of you. That's how far back it goes.
Wow.
It's the real deal. If you're ever there, get the bacon. Really good. Anyhow, the SAVE Act is interesting. It's not even the worst of these bills that are coming from the House. There's another one called, I think it's called MEGA, actually, because SAVE is an acronym. SAVE is, does anybody remember what SAVE is?
Save America Voting Integrity, I believe.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Safeguard American voter eligibility is what it is. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's redundant, I'm pretty sure as the listener points out, the Heritage Foundation did a study and found that basically immigrants don't vote in America. I mean, citizens rarely vote enough, the opposite problem is true. But I also think that this is a pretty big self-own on the part of the Republicans, because what they're going to end up finding out is that their voters are not eligible. Like, I guess all of us have passports. Yeah, my wife did have to jump through some hoops to make sure that everything has the same name on it. Because
she got like what, 7 names?
Yeah, she has a lot of different names. There's like Rosemary, Claire, Savino, Gershwer, she's got a lot of names. and so different, like her driver's license said one thing, her passport said another, her, and you had to go reconcile all that stuff and make sure that everything was consistent. I will also say this. I don't know how many elections I voted in when I was living in New York City. I grew up in New York City. Um, we didn't have driver's licenses with photos on them. Our driver's license was just a little piece of gray cardboard with a bunch of different data on it.
I remember
And
those.
Yeah,
I
so do
remember
I.
those. No photo, just a piece of paper.
Right.
I remember that.
Nobody ever had any problem voting with those things. And there was no picture on it. I'm pretty sure, my driver's license now, and I don't know from when they started doing it in the 2000s, I'm guessing, does have a picture on it. But I'm not even sure that I've ever handed my driver's license to somebody at a voting place and they looked at my driver's license and then at me the same way that they do in like liquor stores and when you're entering into a country and they look at your passport and they look at your passport and they look at you and they look back at your passport and they go, okay, that's that guy, but yeah, it just seems it seems like a really stupid thing to do because it's going to make their voting harder. And they're more likely, at least in the midterms, to just say, screw it. It's too much trouble to vote. I'm not going to go bother. Because they don't have any passion on their side right now, as far as I can tell. The passion is what drives people to vote. And to get up out of your house and in the rain or whatever it is to go vote somewhere is a real act. It takes some effort. And if people find any kind of obstacle in their way, they will turn around and go back home and forget about it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's more likely to happen in rural America than it is in urban America. I think it's more likely to happen where people have to, wait on some kind of line for any length of time to go vote, which, has never been my experience. In New York or in Connecticut, pretty much voting takes about 5 minutes to do. I've never had to wait on a line for a long period of time. And I just don't see this as being a good idea for the Republicans, but let them go ahead and do it. And the interesting thing is it's in the Senate now, and they're trying to decide whether they want to break the filibuster for this. And man, if they break the filibuster for this, they're opening up the filibuster, I mean, Democrats do most of their work through legislation. Republicans do most of their work by opposing legislation or not voting for things. So they don't have a positive agenda. They have a negative agenda. That's what conservatism is. It's stopping things from happening, stopping things from changing. And one of the things that they're going to stop changing is people coming out and voting. And they'll get less votes, not more.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I can't speak to Connecticut as to is your voter registration still valid? I don't see anything in here that says that it is not. Here's some of the takes as to what the problems would really be with this act as it's written right now. Number one, you've got to have easy access to proof of citizenship, which goes to, Scott's, comment of how many people have a passport. And does your passport meet all the other names, like in the case of his wife's issue that she had? But it can be reconciled, but it's going to be time consuming and it's not free. Getting all that stuff switched over is not free. $165 to get a new passport in the United States. Some people, that's a lot of money to them. So it is restricting, but it probably is more restricting to people, as Scott points out, rural than it is to people that are in cities. It's a lot easier to get a passport in New York City because there's more places to go to than, say, Sumter, South Carolina. Population, whatever. And the only place you can go is the post office, which is open from this time to this time, and they only do passports on this day. So Could make it difficult. Will you need to take your passport and your birth certificate? To this, the answer I believe is no. You do not. But let's remember something. To get a passport, you've got to be able to, and we've talked about this before. So if you were married, or if you're born, you got your last name. If you've been married 2 or 3 times, you have to show all of your divorce documentation, all of it, to be able to get yourself to the point where you've rectified what your new name is. That could be really hard for women. I mean, that could be a real obstacle. If you were married, when you were 18 years old and got divorced at 25, and now you're 55, and you remarried at 26, good luck trying to find that divorce paperwork. You probably didn't keep it. Maybe you did, but if you didn't, now you've got a long road. You got to go back to the original court. You got to go to the family court. You got to get the records. That's going to cost you some money because they're not going to give it to you for free. So that you've got the reconciling can be very, very difficult. The thing that I think that bothers me is that it gives the federal government access to all the voter information from each one of the individual states. For what purpose? You can come up with all sorts of nefarious purposes why they would want this stuff. It can't be to get more information on people. And I've said this so many times. As Americans, we say, "Oh, privacy, privacy, privacy." There is no such thing as privacy. The IRS knows everything they need to know about you. Everything. Why? And that's available to the federal government. So the only thing I can see of wanting the voter registration records is to be able to take people off arbitrarily, which they really can't do. That's really the state's responsibility.
I don't know. Trump has called the states agents of the federal government, and he wants Republicans to run like the elections of, 15 states or 15 cities or something, and those just happen to be the places that he lost. Yeah. So he wants to take control. Whether that's possible, I don't know, but that's what. So he
Trump's
wants.
An idiot. First of all,
Trump
is
I know
an idiot. That just because he says it doesn't make. In fact, if he does say it, probably isn't true. So he's simply an idiot. The states run the elections. It's in the Constitution. And if you're going to change that, you got to change the Constitution. And we've already talked numerous times how difficult that is to do. You can't do it by executive order. You can't do it by the government passing a law that goes against the Constitution. So the legislature can't do it either. You've got to, plain and simple, change the Constitution. Good luck with that. Good luck with getting that in. You're just not going to do it. So the states are responsible for this stuff, and the federal government, the only thing the federal government does is, when it comes to the federal elections, as far as the president is concerned, it's a ceremony of saying, yeah, this is who won. That's it. That's it. Now, another thing that the federal government does have some say with is the Supreme Court, just like we saw in 2000 with Bush and with Gore, where they had to make a decision. But that was a totally different animal. That was not about who voted, who didn't vote, any of that stuff. That was about the recounts and hanging chads and all this other stuff from only one state. Go figure, Florida. So no, it's just it. I understand the concern. My concern would be for the women of the United States. You could have a hard road. So if you've been married 2 or 3 times, you're going to have a hard road, because that driver's license and that passport better match up, because I'm going to guarantee your birth certificate doesn't.
Yeah. So Felicity, as a woman, and as a person who is very alarmed about what's happening, what I do is I check my voter status. I look at the county. I mean, New York makes it easy. I don't know what Connecticut does. Scott might know. I look at my like voter status for the county, or my voter. Anyway, I look it up online, and I can see that I'm registered to vote, and that I'm still registered to vote. I look at my local polling place, and and that I'm still registered to vote, so that's fine. So if you see that you are registered in your local for your local place, then you don't need to re-register. You can also call, I think your local polling place, there should be somebody that you can call and talk to, or you should be able to find it online and see whether you're still registered. I would absolutely, if you do not have a passport, I would absolutely get one. And you can start off, and it is certainly there are costs, as Mark said. If you've had a passport that's expired or you've lost it, then you are reapplying. And that actually is somewhat easier, I think, than getting an entirely new one, because your old, you will be in the system somewhere. But you can write down what your circumstances are. Just, take notes of how many, if you've been married before, and how many times, and where you were divorced, if you've moved, and then make phone calls. Look up the places online and make phone calls into the clerk of the court, the surrogate's court, I think it is, and see what it costs to get a copy certified, as they'll want original. So, a certified copy or two, if you can afford to, one to keep in case you need it, of your divorce decrees, and then have them mailed to you. And slowly you can accumulate the documents that you need. Vital records will have a copy of your birth certificate, and make sure everything matches. If you need a new birth certificate, then you would have to apply for a name change. You can get that, I think, from the DMV. I don't know. I had to apply to New York for a name change, and when I applied for an updated birth certificate, I did it incorrectly, and they sent me a new paper, a new document to fill out along with the mistake I had made, an indicator of what mistake I had made. So I had to fill out the paper again and then send it back to them. But I was born in Manhattan, New York, and I'm not driving from the western part of New York State. It's like 6 hours one way, and I'm not driving to New York City. So I had to do everything by mail.
And it's important to remember each state has its own rules for all this stuff.
Exactly. So you have to go.
So what's good in Connecticut is different than what's good in New York, is different than what's good in South Carolina. It's going to be different all the way through. And, the important thing here also is we've had 60 presidential elections since the founding of the country. This only came up because one guy lost.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the system is broke. You never heard this before.
But you still want a passport in case you need to leave.
Well, you want a passport, yeah.
Point.
Yeah,
absolutely. In case ICE pulls you over, in case you need to leave the country, get yourself a passport. Yeah. Then you've got it, and if anything happens, you can go.
Yeah. So, sorry, Felicity. This is going to be it may be, I don't know what your situation is, but this may be, you better get started on it right now if you don't have all this stuff, because the election in 2028 is unfortunately coming up quickly, not quickly enough in my mind. But to get yourself squared around.
Yeah, all that you have to do is go to or call town hall and ask for the registrar of voters or whatever it's called, and say, am I registered to vote? And if you voted before, you should be in there.
You should be perfectly fine. I don't think this, everything I'm reading here does not take away your voter registration. This is talking about new registrations, and what you've got to show when you go to vote.
Right. The mega one, the next one that the House is going to vote on probably, right, will actually require probably most people in the country to re-register to vote. Because what this bill does is it turns all that information over to DHS. Right. And they want to make sure that they know where everybody is and what they're up to. And it's just completely intrusive for no reason at all. Yeah.
And this mega bill, what do they require to re-register?
I think what they're asking for is
Passport.
birth certificates, but I suppose the passport would be enough. I was just reading about it, and I can't find what I was reading about, but it seemed, it's even more restrictive than this one. And again, it's all based on Trump's lies because he lost the freaking election and can't deal with it. And has, all these Republicans are scrambling over each other to make sure that they're the one that gets the bill that actually proves that, that there was a problem with the elections, and now Trump has fixed it so he can call all elections from now on the Donald Trump election, procedure of getting people voted in or voted out. And again,
How about the Donald Trump sore loser?
yeah, I mean that's really what it is, and it never changes. I mean, he's still arguing about 2016, and
Yep. Saying I really won the popular vote too.
yeah, he won the popular vote. If it wasn't for 3,000 illegal votes in California, I would have won that too. I mean, it's just ridiculous stuff.
And all those dead people. All those dead people that voted, yeah. Again, what you got to look at this, you got to say to yourself, hey, this has worked just fine. When you've got this many votes being cast, are there going to be some irregularities? Absolutely. Are those irregularities going to have any impact on the vote? No, not at all.
No.
Absolutely no. I mean, the margins are just too great. So this is just because a sore loser, and that's why you're going through all this. So think about that when you go to the polls. If you're able to vote in November, think about that when you go to the polls, that your representatives, if they're Republican, are basically just trying to, massage the Orange Jesus ego for no reason whatsoever, other than just to, make him happy. Let's just name a couple more places after him. I mean, come on. Let's just...
He'll never be happy.
Let's make it the Trump Washington Monument. When, the Trump, Lincoln Memorial. I mean, let's just, come on. I mean, let's just, stop the fooling around. Stop. This is all he cares about. As Scott has pointed out, he doesn't care about legislating things other than legislating a way for him to always win. And just name a few things after him. I mean, let's look how well it went for the Kennedy Center. I mean, that really went really well now that they've changed it. I mean, that's a bloody ass mess as it sits right. Nobody wants to go there. So now they've closed down for the next 2 years. Congratulations, Trump. You ran it just like you did a casino. Great job.
I forget who it was referred to this country as Trumpistan.
Yeah, could very well be. Could very well be. So, Felicity, I'll tell you something. As of right now, we don't know where it sits. We know what it looks like, what it could look like. And the fact is that it's going to be harder to vote for no reason other than a senile old man who farts all the time and wears diapers was mad because he lost in 2020. And he didn't like the fact that he didn't win the popular vote in 2016. And yeah, there you go. There you have it. We'll see what happens. But remember those Republicans that vote for it. Just keep them in mind. So when you go and you're told, oh, no, you can't vote. Okay. This eventually comes back and bites you in the ass. All right.
Well, I hope we answered all Felicity's questions.
I think we did.
I hope so.
Although I will say this, Felicity, thank goodness you are, you're a registered voter and you vote in all elections. That's what we need more of.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need more people that, hey, this is my civic responsibility. I can't bitch about it if I'm not in it. So, and you go there and do it. And I hope that you get everything you need to be able to continue to vote, even if you're voting Republican. I don't care. I mean, the fact is as long as you're going and participating in the process, that's all that matters. And Scott's right. Go down to your town hall. Ask them. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to, Fox News or anybody else. Don't listen to any of those yo-yos. Go down and say, listen, I want to know, am I registered to vote? What do I have to do anything? Please. And they have to tell you what you got to do, if they even know at this point in time, and just do what you got to do. Okay.
Yep, very good.
And that's all the time we have for today's episode. The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We want to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing team, Apple Podcasts, the largest source of podcast and music online, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your destination for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. And most importantly, we want to thank you, our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society could not be possible. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing on the platform of your choice. It's easy, it's free, and helps our channel grow. For questions or comments, you can reach us at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So on behalf of Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershworth, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power of society is knowledge. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you again next time.
Hi everyone, this is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening!